Thanks a lot.
So now we
Thanks.
proceed to another session, a very interesting and very clinical oriented session, which is on newer insulins, Indian perspective. This is by Dr. Jay Chodia. That we have a very senior physician in Jodhpur, Dr. A.S. Devda. He is a retired colonel from the army and is a very close associate who is very active in all these clinical programs which we perform. And he has of course attended so many courses. He has, to his credit, in last 2 years at least over 3 courses which he have done online, and has scored wonderfully well. So he is one of the most dread persons we have in the town. uh, can I invite Dr. A.S. Devra to introduce Dr. Jay Chodia, a very close friend of ours, and we thank him for the time he has given to us for this topic. Dr. A.S. Devra, please.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Miran, sir, thank you so much for your kind words. The topic which I have been given to chair is the neuroinsulins and Indian perspectives. I think the topic selected is a very valid topic because next year only we are entering the 100 years of insulin, discovery of insulin by Banting and Best, as we all know. And you all know we have come a very long way from that time onwards. There was a time when we used to have bovine insulin, porcine insulin, lente, semi-lente, PZI, and PH, like that. Then came the 80s, the era of human insulin, synthetic insulin by the genetic engineering techniques and all. Then came the era of real newer insulin, though they are also not new. These are the insulin analogs. Can you hear me,
Dr. Devra, can we quick, because we need time for the Jay Chodia also.
Right.
We are already short of time.
Right, sir. So today what he is going to discuss is about the newer insulin. Those are insulin analogs, and we all know there are rapid insulin amongst the insulin analogs and long-acting insulin, and ultra-long-acting and ultra-short-acting insulin. So as we are running short of time, I would request Dr. Jay Chordia, who is working at Paras JK Hospital. He is MBBS, MD, DM endocrinology. He is gold medalist in MBBS. He scored first position in SARC quiz and is member of IMA, RSSDI, Epicon, ITS, API, and SECON. So I'm very sure he is going to enlighten us on the properties of these newer insulins and how, in the context of Indian perspective, how they are going to be beneficial. Dr. Jay Chordia, please.
Thank you very much, sir. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Just share the slides. Yes. Make it slideshow, yes.
So thank you very much, respected Dr. Anand Minawan Saab, to giving me a good opportunity to be present virtually, at least with you and all the eminent panelists. I'm extremely happy that I am missing definitely the mirchi badas and aloo badas and kachori of Jodhpur, because it's a virtual meet and this is tea time. With tea, we can enjoy all those things. But my job is a different job today. I have to give you a basic introduction about newer insulins within the time limit which I have been given, because this is a virtual meet. So I'll be very rapid. My agenda will run through two topics: Indian realities of type 2 DM management, because being in India, we are managing diabetes in a different way what our Western counterparts are doing, and a role about insulin co-formulation as simple and convenient options for Indian, what Dr. Devda sir was calling. It's now being 100 years of insulin. How the insulin has changed, I will give you a brief introduction about that. So this picture makes us very clear about the burden of diabetes in India. We almost rank second in worldwide in terms of diabetes adults, and if we continue like this in 2045, around we'll see around 74% increase in diabetes, and every year we have around 1.01 million diabetes related death in India annually. So how can we stop this? And overall, 2 in 3 patients with diabetes have at least one complication related to diabetes. So the challenges of managing diabetes in India: if we do our diabetic OPD on a routine base, we have high postprandial glucose, we have high carbohydrate diets, patients are uncontrolled on multiple OADs, need for simplicity and convenience. So these are the realities which we don't face in our Western counterparts literature, we have to be pragmatic and we have to be theoretical on this part. This was a beautiful study by Joshi et al. High carbohydrate diet is a common Indian reality, whether it is east, west, north, south, or central India. We, being Indian, are almost taking 61 to 70% of our energy via carbohydrates in our diet. And why I am focusing on this diet is basically because more is the carbohydrate intake, more is the associated risk of mortality. So there is around 17% significant higher mortality in those who consumed higher carbohydrate diet as compared to a moderate carbohydrate diet. And we know, being an Indian, our diet is having around 61 to 70% of energy intake via carbohydrate as compared to Western counterparts of 30 to 50%. So the clinical implications of this high carbohydrate means high postprandial glucose value. And high postprandial glucose value leads to what? It may lead to macrovascular complications, it may lead to microvascular complications. And these are the studies, I don't name each of them, Pune to Honolulu to Chicago Heart Association, all via different ways calculated that high postprandial value has a statistical significance with the macrovascular complications, maybe intima media thickness, maybe cardiovascular mortality, and that all things similarly. So cardiovascular disease and mortality are definitely associated with postprandial hyperglycemia. For the microvascular complications, this is basically a very beautiful Indian study by V. Mohan, the prevalence of vascular complications assessed in South Indians in non-insulin dependent diabetic patients and over 25 years of duration. So it was a long duration, and it showed that postprandial hyperglycemia is associated with increased risk of diabetic nephropathy, neuropathy, and retinopathy in Indian people with type 2 DM. May not be with Western counterparts, but definitely with Indian people with type 2 DM. So unlike Western population, we have a very beautiful HbA1c depiction of Monier et al. The PPG should be controlled at all level of HbA1c in Asians. Why? Because the Asian picture is different on HbA1c as compared to the Monier et al. Data, which shows that there is a higher contribution of postprandial as you move towards near the target HbA1c. This is similar for the Caucasians, but if the HbA1c is high, still the postprandial glucose value is giving a good contribution as compared to the fasting sugar. So that means for an Asian Indian, if you want HbA1c control, you need PPG control at a higher quintile of HbA1c, at a lower quintile of HbA1c also. So that means isolated fasting alone control will not give you a good HbA1c control. It is a target fasting and postprandial control which will give you a normal quintile of HbA1c. So only 19.7% of people with type 2 diabetes have good glycemic control in India. Again, very beautiful data of Mohan et al. Which showed that if you included say around 6,168 patients in the study, 93% were on OHAs and only 35% on insulin despite high HbA1c. So the patients linger on, and this lingering effect shows you the study which is there in front of your screens. That means if you are not taking proper action at a proper time, you will never see a good control of diabetes, and this is not good because the patients are giving good amount of money for drugs they are spending, still the benefit doesn't happen. So here comes the role of that. Why is timely insulin initiation particularly important in India? So there was a two group of population of PIMA Indians and Asian Indians. You see that even with normoglycemia, the Asian Indians have lower mean fasting insulin secretion as compared to the PIMA Indians. One, and following a 75 gram OGTT, the Asian Indians exhibited a significantly lower 30-minute insulin level. So that means when we compare it from Western counterparts, we have less insulin in the fasting values also, in the postprandial values also. So that means being an Asian Indian phenotype, we are more prone genetically for development of type 2 diabetes or insulin glucose or IGT or IFG. So there is heterogeneous pathway of diabetes in early natural history of disease. Emphasis is on insulin resistance in PIMA Indians, and Asian Indians have 3 times lesser of insulin secretion. So making sense of guidelines, because we have good amount of guidelines, do we follow? So global guidelines and Indian guidelines. It is not about the thali which you are seeing. Being an Indian, we have high PPG, we have high fasting glucose. So we need a good drug, a good co-formulation insulin which can control, because we can't change our Indian diet. We can just change the medication in smart manner so that we have a good feasible choice. So at a similar fasting plasma glucose reduction with the basal insulin, because as Dr. Devdas sir was saying, we had short acting insulin, we have ultra short acting, we have rapid acting, we have basal insulin. Whenever we start insulin for the first time, we think that basal insulin would be good. So that means fix fasting first. So at a similar fasting plasma glucose reduction with the basal insulin, still fewer Asian patients achieve the HbA1c target of less than 7, because being an Asian Indian, we are different on HbA1c quintile. We need a fasting and PP to be controlled. And this was conclusion of this was basically that prandial component need to be addressed in Asian to get a good glycemic control to reach near the target. So insulin may be inadequate response to triple urotherapy. That means RSSDI still says that you have to break the treatment inertia and timely insulin initiation, which provides a better glycemic control. So it is up to you. The persons who are listening to me are very intellect people. Only thing is we have to guide our patient, we have to educate our patient that now it is the correct time to initiate insulin rather than taking multiple oral hypoglycemic therapies. So with this background, I will switch to the newer formulations of insulin as simple and convenient options for Indians. So as Professor Devda told, that evolution from biphasic human insulin to premix analogs and modern co-formulation standard like this. So this was a 30-70 conventional insulin which needed a resuspension, shaking of the insulin, because isofen was 70% and soluble was this, has to be taken half hour before. Then came biphasic analog insulin, a soluble insulin, and a protaminated crystalline insulin analog, still a resuspension needed. Now we have beautiful smart insulins in the form of soluble insulin aspart and soluble deglutec, clear insulin ready for immediate use, no resuspension needed in the form of insulin deglutec aspart. So while this co-formulation of ultra long acting deglutec and a rapid acting aspart is beautiful, because each is there in a single pen, each is there in a vial, but the beauty is they are in suspension, but in the subcut depot when they are injected, the deglutec gives a slow dissociation and aspart gives a very rapid dissociation. What it means? It means it's a physiological combination. It's a good pharmacodynamic and pharmacokinetic combination which releases immediate acting insulin in a rapid manner and slow acting insulin in a slower manner. So the two components of deglutec aspart slowly gets released. The ultra long acting properties of deglutec is retained at a steady state in the mixture, and the rapid acting works in a physiological manner in this mixture. That means this pen being combined, being a clear insulin, no resuspension needed, still works in a physiological manner for the rapid action as well as for the slower action of insulin. And it definitely covers our concern of distinct prandial and basal glucose lowering at a steady state in a OD or a BID dosing. That means you can take benefit of this combination for the fasting as well as the postprandial cover. Thus, co-formulations. Why we need co-formulations? We need to overcome the limitations of premix. We have premix, but the problem was variability in glycemic control, the incomplete 24-hour basal coverage, a need for resuspension. In the co-formulation, we have a pure mimicking of physiological insulin secretion. We can avoid the shoulder effect and variability of this protaminated premix insulins and simplifying the insulin regimen with a beautiful pen which doesn't need much pressure to inject. And insulin deglutec aspart can be used in patients with hepatic and renal impairment. Doesn't need any emphasis on this because insulin is very safe on those group of patients who are having certain comorbidities, maybe hepatic or renal, with certain dose modifications. So with this background, if we see a case like it's a 58-year-old Mr. X with a relevant history of working as a software engineer, diagnosed with diabetes 8 years back, with hypertension 4 years back, currently on OADs with history of smoking. His medications include gliclazide twice in a day, metformin 1 gram BD, empagliflozin, atorvastatin, amlodipine, and antihypertensives. The complaint still persists is generalized weakness, numbness and tingling in feet, that means peripheral neuropathy, and blood visions may be diabetic retinopathy. So on examination, BMI is slightly high on Indian scenario. HbA1c is very high, 9.3%. Fasting PP is high. His serum creatinine is impaired. So that means he is having diabetic retinopathy also, clinically medical edema. His diabetic part is there. His lipids are partially deranged and his sugars are not controlled. So he is definitely a classical case of insulin initiation because he is already on max possible doses of oral hypoglycemics. So the clinical issue is our patient is he is non-adherent to lifestyle measures, software engineer, high HbA1c despite on triple OAD therapy, retinopathy, low estimated GFR, hypertension, dyslipidemia, smoking, and high cardiovascular risk. So we need a pragmatic solution for this category of patients in our realities for type 2 diabetes management at insulin initiation. So what deglutec aspart do? On high carb diet, it gives a rapid acting aspart which covers the carbohydrate. Need for convenience in insulin therapy, it's a once a day, twice a day, very beautifully given pen, easy to start and stay insulin. High PPG level being taken care by aspart as well as deglutec, both tackling together. Uncontrolled on multiple OADs can allay fear of hypoglycemia with major meals because it can be started once in a day, and huge amount of studies are that a single basal insulin or a single combination, single injection of deglutec aspart is equivalent or rather slightly better, which I will tell you in next of my 5 slides. So factors which facilitate successful initiation, we don't have to miss the bus again. In deglutec aspart, as compared to basal insulin, we offer direct control of PPG, we offer direct control of fasting. It is suitable in case of delayed insulin therapy, simple initiation, easy to explain and understand, easy monitoring, titration, use of single device, and offering subsequent intensification and convenience. So it scores better over OD basal insulin. So a mixed insulin can be used as a basal plus a prandial cover. So indication for using co-formulations, start and stay therapy. We need those category of patients who should be started and who should be staying. Patients controlled on multiple OADs, patient uncontrolled on basal, patient uncontrolled on premix, patient uncontrolled on basal bolus, maybe the candidates, type 1 or type 2 DM patient, elderly with renal hepatic impairment with comorbidities. So these are the category of patients who should be on co-formulations. So one study which clearly told head-to-head from deglutec, 2 OADs and glargine plus OADs, if we see this patient's criteria of inclusion was diabetes with an HbA1c between 7 to 10, it was an open label combined study. It showed that insulin initiation in the form of OD deglutec aspart and OD glargine showed a similar reduction of FPG, but a better HbA1c control with deglutec aspart, because the post-prandial cover was better with deglutec aspart. So there was a 1.4% more HbA1c quintile reduction with deglutec aspart as compared to basal insulin in the form of glargine. And with similar fasting plasma glucose, we can say that why HbA1c was lesser with deglutec aspart, because there is a hidden role of PPG excursion. Around 57.42 milligram per DL unaddressed PPG spike was there in a major meal because of basal insulin glargine. So this PPG spike was not making the HbA1c quintile to come to normal. With OD insulin deglutec aspart, the PPG spike was not seen, so the quintiles of HbA1c control was maintained. So thus, insulin deglutec aspart offers improved safety also. We are more fearful that if we combine two insulins, there might be more hypoglycemia, but the overall hypoglycemia, nocturnal hypoglycemia and weight gain was slightly lesser with deglutec aspart as compared to the basal insulin. So in patients who are uncontrolled on OADs, insulin initiation must offer better efficacy without compromising on safety. Very much important. We don't need hypoglycemia, we need euglycemia with HbA1c less than 7, which was achieved with this molecule which is known as deglutec aspart. So we started our patient, who is Mr. X, uncontrolled on multiple OADs, on a single meal Ryzodeg, because we got the SMBG data of this patient. He takes a major meal, and this patient also confirmed that he eats more at dinner. So if you more at dinner, you can start with OD insulin at dinner. And we started Ryzodeg, and we discontinued definitely the sulfonylurea. We continued metformin and empagliflozin, and deglutec aspart was started with 10 units with the dinner. That was the largest meal of the patient. Very much important to understand. You should ask your patient which is your largest meal. If it is lunch, start with lunch. If it is dinner, start with dinner. and it was titrated slowly over a 12-week duration to dose of 20 units based on an FBG level. So at the end of 12 week, this patient got a fasting of 114, a post breakfast of 148, and a post dinner of 156. The HbA1c decreased from 9.3 to 7.2 with a single insulin. So that means the starting dose and time of administration, a very important thing. You can't be blind to start insulin, but if you want to be blind with a co-formulation like diclofenac aspart, the recommended starting dose of this is 10 units titrated within a span of 2 to 3 days with according to the fasting and postprandial values. So if you don't want to calculate via body mass index, via body weight, you just start with 10 units of a single co-formulation via insulin Ryzodec, and you can gradually see out titrate around 2 to 3 days. You can see the values. So the major meal from the clinical point of view, the discussion agreement between the physician and the patient about meal patterns should be done, and identification of major meal is crucial, and both quantity as well as the quality of carbohydrate consumed through the food matters where the insulin will affect. So that means the major meal from the clinical point of view is look at your plate. The largest meal is the meal that usually contains the largest amount of bread, rice, potato, and sweets. And I don't know what is the major meal of the Jodhpur people, because the Jodhpur is so much good about the food. It might be all the 3 meals which might be major, but for our patients, the major meal can be best assessed through SMBG also and through the language or per local cuisine of the patient, that when you consume the highest carbohydrate in your meal. So summarizing whole of my presentation, we live in a unique country with an increasing burden of diabetes. Now definitely another epidemic is there, Corona. Indian realities of diabetes management is different from other parts of the world, and hence we require a co-formulation which should be specific for ourselves in patients who are uncontrolled on multiple oral hypoglycemics. Insulin initiations with a diclofenac aspart in an OD formulation with major meal in your brain may give you better control as compared to a basal insulin in the form of glargine. And this diclofenac aspart is simple and convenient option as start and stay insulin therapy in patients uncontrolled on OEDs. And minded with this, if I am submitting my presentation, it is not the initiation of insulin which is important, it is the education, it is the SMBG. Because if I talk about today itself, I had a patient who is taking 40 units of insulin via vial with 100 units of syringe. So then your insulin will also not do a wonder. So education, understanding, and titration is the goal. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. Thank you very much. To you back, sir.
Rightly said, sir. So wonderful. Education is very, very important. And of course, shown the clinical case. This is something which we are seeing every day in our clinical practice. Dr. Devada, yes. If you have some quick questions, short of time. So if you have some questions, 1 or 2 of them we can take quickly. Just unmute your mic, sir.
Because of their typical habit of taking high carbohydrate diet, but it is also an unideal setting for starting this drug in India because of the resource crunch. The drug is so costly that it is beyond the reach of a normal common layman, where there's so many of billions of our patients are suffering. They can't even afford normal analog like glargine. They can't afford. So I agree with you. The way of we eat and all, the postprandial coverage will be there, and it is a peakless insulin. All the good properties the drug has, but only thing is drug is very costly. So that is why its use is very, very low in the priority.
So, but
we all know, we are all practicing diabeticians.
This Corona pandemic, the drug cost was reduced. The Ryzodec cost was reduced to around 18% because of this Corona pandemic itself. The company took this initiative to reduce the cost. And if we see the cost also, glargine is also not a cheap insulin. And if we get a benefit of both fasting and PP, then Ryzodec in a lower dose will be better as compared to the basal insulin.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you very much.
Sir.
Full hearing you and so clear.
Thank you very much to you, sir. Except my mirchi vadas and pakoras are due, sir. I will come back to Jodhpur for
that. That I will make sure when we meet next. I will make sure that we will have.
में भी आना है, sir. Gevar khane, SK sir को.